Earlier in the program, we talked about the importance of calling before you dig. Neil Melancon now joins us with this week's Bottom Line for a personal story about how one earth-shaking event taught him a lesson.
The Bottom Line is brought to you by the Cotton Board, strengthening the fiber of our industry. First South Farm Credit, financing rural America since 1933. And by Progressive Tractor and Implement, your Case IH and Kubota dealer.
When I was growing up, we moved around a lot because of my stepfather's job as a hospital administrator. We were living in Brandon, Mississippi in 1986, and I was in junior high school. In December of that year, one early morning, my mother woke me up to a house that was shaking like an earthquake, which are not all too common in that part of the world, as you might imagine. She was up nursing my youngest brother, Joel, just after 3 a.m. when she saw a bright light fill the windows, followed by a gigantic explosion. Now, her first thought was that a jet had crashed. Our neighbors at the time, James and Rita Hickman, who had 2 young children of their own, called immediately and said they had no idea what was going on, but we were leaving in 5 minutes. I remember vividly the sight of the column of fire above the trees and the smell of natural gas so strongly as we fled into the night that night. It turns out a high-pressure gas main had blown, and the flames were estimated to shoot as high as 700 feet into the sky. It was so strong that a defense satellite picked up the blast, and calls were made to federal authorities probably before we were out of the house. Pilots as far as Nashville and Houston reported seeing the explosion, which amazingly neither injured nor killed anyone. The bottom line here is that calling before you dig is not just to prevent your cable being knocked out or an expensive repair bill. It's literally to save your life and the life of your loved ones. It's a funny story to tell now, me sleeping through the initial blast and coming home safe in nothing but my pajama bottoms, but it wouldn't have been nearly as amusing right up on that gas well. Please call before you dig. It will not only spare your life and those you love, but Mike, it'll spare us all the sight of half-dressed folks like myself flooding into the streets.
Well, I don't like to think about that, Neil, but wow, an incredible story. Thanks very much for sharing that, Neil Melancon. And remember, you can listen to any of Neil's daily radio reports on the Louisiana Farm Bureau's Agri-News Radio Network. For a list of stations where you can tune in or listen online, click on over to our website, twilatv.org, and click on the LF Barn link. Before we leave you today, we want to share with you a little something our friend from West Baton Rouge, Heath Morris, posted online. 2 Thursdays ago, this is what walked up on the Morris's family's back porch while they were having breakfast. It's a 5-foot alligator. Being the resourceful farmer, Heath handled the problem the way most farmers handle problems down on the farm, with duct tape. Here you see the gator after Heath and a few of his bravest buddies jumped on top of the gator, crocodile hunter style, bound it in duct tape. And if you're wondering what happened to the alligator, well, it's not in a sauce piquant. Heath says they brought the creature to the riverside of the Mississippi levee and let it go. Again, duct tape saves the day. That does it for this edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. Be sure to join us next week when we'll show you how the shortage of large animal vets has students from up north looking to Louisiana for help. Until then, you can watch any of our stories, this episode, or past programs on our website. You know the address, twilatv.org. For all of us here at This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Michael Dana. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope to see you again right here next week.